This is the story of the Cuban exile community, and it defines what so many of us who are a product of it are. And I know this: no matter where I go or what title I may achieve, I will always be the son of exiles.
Let's bring in our panel. MSNBC political analyst Karen Finney is a former communications director over at the DNC. David Leonhardt is Washington bureau chief for the New York Times, his first appearance since the new title. Thank you. You're the chief. And former Republican member of Congress from New York, Susan Molinari.
Morning.
Welcome all. Okay, Marco Rubio finding out what it's like, what a national VP vetting process would be like. David, I don't want to put you in the position of judging other reporting. Not going to go there. But is this fair game to talk about this in the sense of a son not vetting his parents?
And I'm actually happy to judge other reporting. It's good reporting. They deserve credit. The Washington Post and the St. Pete Times both have done good stories. Absolutely, this is fair game. I mean, Marco Rubio for a long time has been going around saying, my parents came here after Castro. His official Senate biography had the word following in it. It's not true. Now, we can get into a debate about whether it's not true because of family lore, that his parents had told him something different and never corrected him despite years of saying this very publicly. That's possible. But this now puts him in a list of people politicians who've spent a long time in public saying things that aren't true. It includes Richard Blumenthal, the Democratic senator from Connecticut. It includes Mark Kirk, the Republican senator from Illinois. The judgment here is for voters. How much does this matter? But I don't think there's any question here about the facts that for a long time, something that's central to his political biography, we now know is not true.
Now, you brought up, he brought up two cases where it was their own biographies. In this case, this is family lore.
Right.
You ever caught your dad in telling you something? I mean, your dad, a very famous politician in New York. Did you ever catch him in something going, well, you're over-exaggerating?
Because we weren't even sure of what, where our background came from. I mean, we went to Italy this summer and we were trying to recreate where our family was, and we had a great lunch with people that could be our relatives or maybe not. I mean, for so many of these people, when they came over, what the details were are a little sketchy. It wasn't that important. And I'm presuming for Marco Rubio, and I know him and I spoke to him, and I know so many people who came over from Cuba, they mean Cuban exiles because they couldn't go back, because they lost their families, because they lost their homeland. And I think the point remains that in this day and age, you have to be so careful about every piece of information. There's no doubt about it. But I think the great American success story still lives in a Marco Rubio biography.
Karen, but is it now politicians got to vet their parents?
Well, you've got to vet yourself. I mean, you can't go out there with a story that then becomes the central part of your story, who you are, your rationale for where you stand on an issue like immigration by saying, we were refugees, when that's not quite true. I mean, I wrote something a couple weeks ago. I called my mother to ask to make sure that I had it exactly right, because I think it's that important. Okay, but you called
your mother. Yeah, but did you fact-check your mom? That's, well,
okay, but in this instance, we're talking about a difference of 5 to 6 years and lots of different versions. I mean, if you read the piece, it's 60 this, 60 that. It was 70. There's a lot of different numbers going in there, and you would have thought, particularly if you are a senatorial candidate thinking that you might be a VP candidate, you check that stuff out. And particularly, this is, I think, a problem for the Republicans in that his whole rationale for his position on immigration reform is, that they came here as exiles. You know what? They were economic exiles, like a lot of people who come here.
David, the bigger picture here, it's a reminder that he didn't go through the tougher vetting process that some Senate candidates go through because he had an easy race.
That's right. He did. I mean, he had an easy race ultimately, right? Originally he had, the primary was not an easy race. But it makes me wonder, boy, should we be going and scrubbing everybody's?
Well, and that's what it's going to jumpstart, right?
Well, that's right. Because of your point, that, we don't know where, so many of us don't know the real exact facts of our families.
But if you don't know the facts, then don't base your whole campaign, your whole candidacy, your whole rationale on something if you don't know that it's correct.
But a significant part of not being able to go back, a significant part of an economic exile, of the persecution of
the kind of criticism that he has leveled against immigrants who come to this country currently, and the debate we're seeing in the Republican Party over legal immigration, it is shameful to have that kind of a mistake.
I don't see how one has to do with the other, Karen.